Welcome to E4 Electric live from Bangkok. And today I'm going to talk about something that I pretty much never talk about because I have never done this before. And today I'm going to tell you why I have decided to short my Tesla stock. Well, not my Tesla stock. Now, of course, because this is being broadcasted to America and I'm an American company, E4 Electric, I have to tell you that this is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not an investor. This is not investment advice. This is just what's in my brain. Okay. So please don't sue me, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm also going to tell you what actually stopped me from doing that. And before I get to that, and I'm going to tell you about what stopped me first, I'm going to tell you that I have only invested in a stock, ever bought any stock, only once in my entire life, and I'm almost 50. So I'm not an investor. I don't really do this, but I just saw such a huge opportunity that this is going to be, I guess, the second time that I play with a stock market. And you'll be surprised which stock I actually bought and sold once, and it was Tesla stock. And I tripled my money with my investment. I bought it back in the day when it was like $99 before all the splits and all the fun. And but that's the only stock, and I'm using the same sort of logic behind it as I did many years ago. There's no information that I have that you guys don't have. It was exactly the same because I believed that Tesla was going to be a big company, that they're going to sell a lot of electric cars. And I was like, I am putting my money and betting on it. And that's what I did. Now, I pulled my money out a while back because I was buying a house. And obviously, at some point, I realized that you cannot invest into any automotive stock because of conflict of interest. But now I've decided, okay, well, there's no conflict of interest if I already been criticizing Tesla for quite some time and just want to make some extra money on it out in the open. Well, why not? So let me tell you my thinking behind it. But first, let me tell you why I didn't do it. And it's not because of my own logic. It's because now that I live overseas, my account that I have, my brokerage, does not allow, people who live overseas to short stock. That is the only reason. Otherwise, I would be doing it. As a matter of fact, I was really contemplating how much of my money I'm willing to put into it, and also, let me put my money where my mouth has been all this time, which is I've been very critical of Tesla. So let me walk you through it. And once again, for those of you who have lawyers, who sue companies for selling hot coffee and then spilling it on the lab and still suing the company that you wanted the hot coffee from. This is literally just my personal exercise and my personal thoughts. So let me tell you about quite a few things that I've observed. Why I think, again, I do have to say that a lot of times I see the stock price of a company not reflect the reality. This is why I kind of never played with the stock market, because you can use all the logic that you want. It's not going to come up. Like, I'll give you an example. So my father, actually, he is AI scientist, believe it or not. He started doing AI in the 70s and 80s, and he's published books. But he basically can predict where the giant oil fields can be found, which is also ironic because his son is an electric car enthusiast. And he saw that one oil company, bought land in the area where he predicted that there will be a giant oil field. Then he said, hey, listen, let me get rich on this, right? So he invested money he bought the stock of that company, and they bought the land. They started drilling, and they found a huge oil field there. Guess what happened to the stock? It went down. So I know there's not a lot of times logic to what's happening, but let's just try to use some logic and pretend that the stock is going to follow it. So here are the things that I'm looking at where I really do think that unless Tesla at this point hires a real CEO, things are going to be really it's going to start looking pretty bad, and I'll tell you why. I mean, first, let me start with just the numbers. By the way, most of this is data. Let me just, none of this is my feelings. As a matter of fact, it hurts my feelings that I'm an electric car YouTuber who started as one of the early, one of the first 3,000 Teslas that were sold. I bought one of them, right? It was signed by Elon Musk. I invested into stock. I promoted Tesla everywhere I went, volunteered on Earth Day events and all that stuff. So it hurts my feelings. But here's what I'm seeing. One, Q1 and Q2 results. Okay, first half a year of sales for Tesla have been so bad. They're the only electric car maker who sells cars in America who has sold less cars, year over year than pretty much any other manufacturer. That number is somehow been ignored by pretty much everybody. Is a devastating number. That means that people already are not buying as many Teslas as last year. And there's a lot that goes into it. I've unpacked it in many videos, so I don't want to go over this again, but that's just data. And that's pretty bad. Number two, and this is another thing that people are missing. Don't think that I'm really taking this seriously, but the Tesla Cybertruck. This is essentially their latest, invention, cutting edge, pickup truck, and they're supposed to be this is supposed to be their pride and joy. Once again, Tesla is supposed to be great. Sorry, I gotta get my air conditioning on. They're supposed to be breaking all the records, and 2 million reservations. I don't think any car ever had 2 million reservations. It hasn't been a year since they started developing, delivering them, and still relatively low numbers because they're wrapping up the production. And Tesla has already run out of people in that 2 million reservation queue that want to buy. As a matter of fact, there is no more reservation. You cannot make a reservation in a Cybertruck. You can just walk in and order one, and they'll make it. And I believe it can be available within a few weeks to you. So, and of course, at first I was like, well, that's reasonable because people were reserving the Cybertruck at 40,000, and then they came out with the 60,000, starting price. So once the price starts to come down, we'll see more people coming out from that reservation queue. But then, about 2 weeks ago, Tesla has raised the price. So the cheapest Cybertruck period is $100,000. And that's where they ran out of the people who want to buy them in that queue. So I'm seeing, and there's just so many little disasters that we're uncovering with the Cybertruck. And none of them so far of what I've predicted is going to be the disaster, which is going to be repairs, service, and the insurance costs. I think that's going to overlap everything, because a lot of trouble that Tesla is having with the truck, are fixable. Sooner or later, they'll fix them. But there won't be, body shops that will decide to all of a sudden start working on cars with the exoskeletons made out of stainless steel. And Tesla is going to grow their network of service centers only as fast as they used to, probably, if not slower. So that's going to be a disaster. Number three, just a lot of decisions that Elon Musk made this year and last year that just go directly against his job as the CEO, which is make as much money as possible for the investors, and therefore, make sure that he's selling that and firing the supercharger team. It is beyond. I mean, usually a CEO would get fired, because if you talk to most Tesla owners, and I would agree with them, is that supercharging network is literally the best part of the car, even though it's not physically part of the car. But, firing the team that's in charge of it, especially at the times when they need to not only keep up with their own demand, right, making more and more Teslas, but also now, and I think this is another bad decision, sharing the network with other electric vehicles. So there's less and less supercharger access for every 100,000 Tesla owners. I think that's going to come back to bite them. It's no longer, supercharging is no longer a unique proposition for Teslas. He's giving it away. I know Tesla will collect revenues, but it's going to be nothing compared, like losing revenues to people buying other cars. The next one is the fact that there was yet another big order canceled on Tesla. By this company is called Next Move. I believe they're in Germany. They were supposed to buy like 100 of Tesla, and they canceled the order. They were citing the quality issues, but it also kind of came at the time when Elon started to really get cray, on social media. And another order, which hasn't been really canceled, but Hertz has lost a lot of money on the depreciation of all the Teslas they purchased. They've reported how unhappy the people who were getting into them were, because it was hard to figure out something that from the very beginning. I told them, hey, listen, if you come back from a long trip and you want to get into your rental car and get to the hotel room and get some sleep, and now you don't even know how to turn your air conditioning vents on and how to run the mirrors and stuff like that, that's going to be a disaster. But the resale value is what did them in, and Hertz essentially ended up selling those cars at a huge loss. And I think is one of the biggest losses they've had on a single manufacturer order. And I think there will be more of these. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is simply comments. Like I said, this is all data. This is none of my kind of thoughts. This is all data. I've never seen so many comments, not just from my videos, but under many other videos, people saying that I'm not going to buy a Tesla ever. Whether these are former Tesla owners or potential buyers who just decided against it. I've never seen so many people basically saying, oh, never Tesla. It used to be like, oh, I'm dreaming of Tesla. Tesla is my dream car. That's what we've been hearing for many, many years. And it was a dream car for a lot of people. And now it's a nightmare car for a lot of people who never even owned them. Now, the next one, and before I tell you the big one, really, like everything else that I'm telling you right now is all peanuts compared to what I think is going to ruin Tesla sales and therefore stock. This year, we're talking about, Elon keeps saying, robo-taxis, full self-driving, the full self-driving, I've always called it a scam. I believe it still is a scam, but the fact that they've now lost, 3 heads of, executives who've been, running this and replaced them with no one, right? So the main guy, I think he quit. Instead of hiring someone else for him, they just gave the job to the second best guy that they had. And then when that guy quit, they gave it, to the third best guy that they had, right? So that was the third best guy running something that they've already admitted running into the ground once. They have to rewrite the core code. And now has been delayed as far as, what Elon has always promised, the full self-driving. And he left now, and nobody really replaced him. Elon, I guess, said that he's just going to do that. But we know he's not even running Tesla that much anymore. It's all about the Twitter and everything else. So, this event, I think the robotaxi event is just going to be another marketing Elon promises the world, but not delivering on it event. If you look at the robot, the Tesla robot, it just went to this, I forget, I think it was somewhere here in Asia. There was a conference where everybody was presenting their robots, and they were doing this and that, and they were jumping and talking to people and interacting and playing chess with kids and all kinds of stuff. And Tesla's robot was behind the glass, I believe, doing nothing, because Tesla knows they cannot compete with what's actually happening in the robotics and AI field when it comes to robots. I think it's going to be more fluff. I don't think there's going to be anything to look at. I mean, Elon will probably say, well, yeah, these are the plans, and the robot maybe unveil a weird-looking robotaxi or whatever. But the bottom line is they have not had any success getting, the level 4 working. I don't think they're going to have it with a third guy in line gone and not hiring anybody else who's smarter than him. And that's what Elon Musk is telling us to bet on. And I think people are going to start realizing that emperor has no clothes. But let me get to the biggest one. This is what made me think, oh my God, this is going to be bad. And what I think is going to be bad is the third quarter sales. Now, we've already seen the sales go down, right? Which is unbelievable for Tesla, especially with the Cybertruck in the mix. I mean, they've added a hot product, that people have been waiting for years, with 2 million people in the reservation queue, and their sales went down. I think this is telling. But I think what's going to happen is this. Elon endorsed Donald Trump. And, forget about Donald Trump. I know Donald Trump is just triggering for everybody, right? Forget about it. Let me just rephrase this. Elon has endorsed one of the presidential candidates in the country where there are only two choices, right? Especially now. So, and historically, people who've been buying Teslas are mainly liberal people, and they usually don't like Donald Trump. And now, where not only he's endorsed them, he created a PAC, which means that he'll probably be putting some money in towards his campaign. A lot of liberals say, I don't want to buy Tesla anymore. I mean, essentially, my money is going to end up one way or another, if not supporting Donald Trump, then literally directly contributing to his campaign. And I don't want to support Donald Trump if I'm a liberal, so I'm not going to buy a Tesla. Or even without that thought, it's like, listen, Donald Trump is in the camp I don't like. Elon Musk is in the camp I don't like of Donald Trump. I'm a Democrat. I'm not going to buy Tesla from that guy. I think it was a huge mistake. I really think that, there's a good reason why, nobody, like CEOs, do not talk about their political beliefs. They don't reveal much immediate. I believe that Tim Allen didn't reveal that he was gay for a while, right? So it's and now there is a study, right? There was actually a couple studies that basically show that the support from liberals for Tesla and likability of them buying, a probability of them buying a Tesla, I believe, fallen by threefold. And the data for Republicans have not moved at all. Like, there were no Republicans, at least significant amount, that said, oh, now that he endorsed Donald Trump, I'm going to give myself a Tesla. So he hasn't gained anybody on the right, and he looks like he's losing people on the left. The sales are already declining. I believe the Cybertruck sales are going to get stagnant. The robotaxi thing is probably going to be nothing burger. But at the end of the day, it's not going to affect the sales, I believe. Yeah, I say Tim Allen, I meant Tim Cook. I like Tim Allen much better, but yes, Tim Cook's. Thank you, Anthony. So it's really, by the way, just so you guys know, it's past midnight. Every time I do this stream, so people in California are already awake, but I'm already asleep because it's past midnight here in Bangkok. Last time I went all the way till 4:00 in the morning, but somehow I wasn't confusing celebrities and Apple CEO. Anyway, so so not only the studies are showing this, it's just the numbers. The numbers are showing that the support that he threw behind one of the candidates is killing the sales. And by the way, 2 days ago, another indication that they are struggling to sell cars is the best referral program I remember from Tesla is back. So now, and it's a little more limited than it used to be. So it used to be, if you use your referral code and somebody bought a Tesla using it, you will get $1,000 in credit, and they will get $1,000 off, which is great. I actually sold so many of them back in the day that when I bought my next Tesla, I had so much credit, I ended up with like $200 monthly payment. By the way, that was for the Model S. There was no Model 3 at that time, I don't think. So I made a lot of money doing that. So that program is back, except for you get $500 instead of $1,000. Though the person buying it will still get $1,000, and I think there's a limit to 10 customers. So people like me cannot run away with that. So okay, fair enough. Sorry. It's just another side that the demand has fallen. And the same thing for the demand for FSD, right? The FSD went all the way to 15,000 and then went down. I think it's at 7 or 8 right now. So that also tells you that not only they're making less money on FSD, less and less people want it because, as I mentioned before, more and more people realize that, essentially it's a scam. Maybe the word scam does not appear in their phrase, but they kind of say, well, it's not full self-driving. What am I going to be paying for? And it sounds like there hasn't been any progress to go along with all the promises. So all of what I just mentioned, including the fact, honestly, the fact that he is stupid enough to endorse a presidential candidate on the opposite side of where most of his buyers are, or at least the majority. I think we're going to see the numbers. By the way, I'm going to absolutely make a video, most likely live stream, once I see the sales results, because either I'm going to be right and I'm going to gloat, which I love doing, not gonna lie, or I'm going to come on and say, you know what, I was wrong. I'm now going to look at Elon Musk differently. I'm going to look at him as the basically unbreakable, infallible man. Like, for example, Donald Trump is, right? Like, Donald Trump could do anything he wanted, and he still got elected as a president, and still is in a close race now, right? And even a month ago, it looked like he was going to be the next president again, right? So he has done things that anybody else would have killed their, political career, and he only kept going and going and going, right? I'm going to be like, hey, that's what Elon Musk is now, right? Unbreakable. No matter what he does, says, no matter what his sales show, people will invest into his stock. So if you're joining me, you probably, you've heard my arguments for why I decided to short the Tesla stock. And again, not a financial advice at all. But unfortunately, as somebody who lives overseas, I am not able to. This is just not possible with the brokerage that I use. And I cannot sign up with other brokerages because when you live overseas, pretty much all of them don't want to take new clients who live overseas. So that is what essentially my thinking is. And you know what? We're not going to have to wait for that long to find out if I'm right or wrong. We have 1 more month to go, and we'll find out. And I'll make a video about it. I'm going to say thank you for joining me. I kind of was looking forward to doing this because, I also prepared because this was kind of a new thing to me. I was almost excited about doing this short thing with Tesla. And I thought, personally, that was going to be a good investment for me. But at the end of the day, I'm curious to know, would I be right or I would be wrong? And we'll find out, and I will absolutely do another video. So thank you so much for joining me. This has been fun. It is past 2:00 in the morning. I gotta take a shower and go to bed. So I will see you guys next week. Thank you to all of the people who super chatted, both of you guys. I appreciate it. And of course, I'll see you next time. And remember to stay charged.